And now with more on Israeli President Herzog's visit to the Gulf is chairman of the Bomel initiative, Bobby Rechnitz. Hi, Bobby.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. So we see some resistance in Bahrain against Herzog's visit and against normalization with Israel. Do you think this is a vocal minority, or is peace between Israel and Bahrain mostly just at a diplomatic level?
I think it's an extreme minority. I was in Bahrain recently. I was there after the elections in Israel. The front page of the nation's largest newspaper had a picture of the king and a picture of Bibi Netanyahu, and the article was about the king calling Prime Minister designate Netanyahu to congratulate him. I walked the streets there. I wore a kippah together with the head of the Jewish community through the shuk. Even though the country has a Shiite majority, and many of them may be pro-Iranian, I think you're talking about a couple of dozen people, and who knows what instigated it. I don't think that's the general feeling there. It's a wonderful country, a country of hospitality, a country where there's been no indoctrination whatsoever against the Jewish people or against Israel. The Jewish community lives there in peace and in safety, and I'm even surprised that this has become newsworthy.
This is very nice to hear, and Herzog saying his trip is bringing with it a message of peace. Do you think it will have much effect on the lay people in the Gulf? I mean, how much influence does Iran and the Iranian axis have in places like Bahrain?
I don't think that Iran has a very strong influence. They're straight right across the Gulf from them, from Bahrain, from the UAE. And keep in mind that the Sunni population and the royal family is a Sunni family. They are opposed to Iran. They feel threatened by Iran. And that's the common bond that brings them in part of the Abraham Accords together with Israel. This is a peace-loving country. I think the more economic cooperation, the more tourism, the more joint efforts and projects that we see between them and Israel. I think the Jewish community will grow there just like it did in the UAE. And I think there's going to be a good, prosperous, friendly, safe, secure future.
So where is all this opposition coming from, I mean, to Herzog's visit now?
You're talking about a couple dozen protesters. Who knows who hired them? Who knows what's driving it? That's certainly not the experience when you go to the country. It's a very safe country. It's a safe country for Jews. And as I said, walking in the shuk with the kippah, the Jewish community came there in 1933 from Iraq. The synagogue remains untouched. There's no graffiti. When we walk the area, people say Shalom Aleichem with total respect. It's something that's beyond my comprehension. A couple dozen people, it makes the news. It's meaningless, and I don't think it represents anything.
No, so putting the protests aside, now Herzog and Israeli business delegation are planning to meet with local Jewish community heads, senior government officials, and the Bahrain Economic Development Board. What are some of the expected outcomes of these meetings? I mean, a little bit about Herzog's schedule now, outcomes. What's expected there?
Well, I think I've met with the Economic Development Board, and I can tell you have a sophisticated group of individuals there. They want to attract investment to Bahrain. Bahrain is an oil-rich country, and they're willing to make investments outside, but they want something mutual. And this country has not seen anything tangible to show its citizens as a result of the Abraham Accords. So the first thing we need to do is encourage tourism to visit this beautiful, warm, welcoming, receptive country. Tourism is the beginning of it, but there's so many different reciprocal business arrangements that can be done. And you know that Bahrain is halfway between Europe and India, and so many people are going to India to do trade. So many Israeli companies are in India to do trade. Bahrain would be a wonderful center to set up some of those businesses, trade industries. It's a hub of technology. There's so much that could be done on a reciprocal basis with Israel and with Jewish communities around the world doing business in Bahrain. They are very welcoming. They will incentivize you. And they have a very strong economy, and they're trying to grow it with foreign investment. And I think at the very least, we should look to invest there, and we should look to do more business with them, because when people have a good economic interest, then they have quality of life, they have something to live for. They don't result to what the other countries do, and sometimes they resort to terrorism. And I'm not making any comparison to Bahrain in that aspect, but I'm talking about in general what the Abraham Accords accomplishes. When you have something to live for and you have an economic interest, you'll have peace for generations.
And how do you actually explain that the PR sort of Israeli relations with the UAE is much stronger than its relations with Bahrain? I mean, the Abraham Accords were signed with both countries. It's talked about much more.
That's a very good question. It's a very good question. Bahrain is a country of just shy of 2 million people, and they aren't as developed as the UAE. When you go to the UAE or to Dubai, obviously you see an enormous amount of development that took place in a short time. But when you go to Bahrain and you don't compare it to the UAE, but you compare it to any country in the Middle East, you'll find someplace that's very developed, very westernized. While they have a traditional culture, they don't impose their religion on anybody, but you feel very safe and very comfortable. And I think it's a matter of recognition, and it's a matter of tourists, because the more people that come there, the more the word spreads. And right now they're opening their arms, trying to welcome people and have reciprocal agreements and reciprocal visits so that people get to know them a little bit better. And I'm dedicated to spending a lot of time and bringing a lot of investment into Bahrain.
Bobby, through your Bomel initiative and business activities, you've been a part of many connections between the Jewish community and the Arab Gulf. Going back, what can you tell us about the challenges and successes of the Abraham Accords since their ratification in 2020?
I think the Abraham Accords was the culmination of a decade or more of back-channel efforts by Prime Minister Netanyahu. I think the culmination of it came at a very fortunate time while President Trump was in the White House, and he was taking the advice of Ambassador David Friedman, the advice of Jared Kushner, the advice of Jason Greenblatt. And I think those people were able to get him to realize that the vision of the Abraham Accords needed to come to fruition. I give Prime Minister Netanyahu all the credit for building it up and for achieving it and getting it done through back channels. Finally, now Israel and the Abraham Accord member states can walk, so to speak, arm in arm down the middle of the street and tell everybody we are united, we have mutual interests. Unfortunately, when President Biden came in and when the new government in Israel came in, sadly, there was a vacuum. Nobody took the leadership role in the Abraham Accords. These relationships were neglected. And as I say, the countries need something tangible. They need to show something to their citizens in why they have cooperation with Israel. And the beauty of the Abraham Accords is this is what I consider a peace agreement with our Arab neighbors, because it bypasses the Palestinian issue, which should not be a prerequisite for making peace with other countries. So this is really a peace agreement between the Arabs and Israel.
Bobby Rechnitz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.